Hey everybody, it's David W. Stock here. It's Relationship Thursday. Uh, I'm wearing a red shirt today because love. Why not? Um, I I live by, or I try to live by the belief that love is the most important thing. I try to lead with love, if it as it were, in everything that I do, but in relationships, I think it's probably uh, even more important. Last week we talked a little bit about the 6 human needs, and I started to unpack that a little bit. I don't know if you guys um, have had the experience that I had the first time I heard about the 6 human needs, and then for like a whole week I was walking around going, I wonder if that guy is expressing his need for significance over there. So once I became aware of it, it just started turning up everywhere. So it was kind of an unusual experience that way, but we're gonna unpack that a little bit more today. I think that it's a great way to understand your partner and yourself through the 6 human needs, and because sometimes even our own behavior is inexplicable, it seems, you know what I mean. So it's a great model to look to whenever you're not too sure why someone is doing what they're doing, so to speak. So last week we talked about so just to review, the 6 human needs are certainty, uncertainty, significance, love, growth, and contribution. And they're kind of in yin-yang pairs, certainty and uncertainty coming together, and then significance and love, and then growth and contribution. And so how they work together and how they work separately, there's a lot of dynamics involved in that, and there's an endless number of combinations, I suppose, as far as how much you value each need and how they work together in your daily life. But people tend to follow kind of a pattern, and they sort of tend to have one or two of the 6 human needs that are kind of at the forefront for them most of the time. It does change when you're going from your work day, your career, or whatever you do for a living, and when you go home at night to your relationship, it can change, but generally there's a pattern. And so if you value certainty at a very high level, you tend to value certainty at a very high level in your career as well as in your relationship. And not necessarily, but as a kind of a general rule. So it can change, but it can also change. So it can change as you move from one area of your life to another area of your life. But it can also change over time as you go through different life stages in your life. Most teenagers, it can be said, don't value certainty that much. But as they become adults, and as they start to have families and things like that, then that changes quite a bit over time. And I'm sure if you look back on your own life, you can see how the need for one or all of the 6 human needs has changed over time. So it's not something that is stamped on you and you have to live with it forever. I would even go as far as to say that you can change it if you really want to do some deep work and change yourself. You can change what needs you value the most. So the 6 human needs in relationships are, I think they're super important. And I think that if you have a great relationship, the 6 human needs are met for you and your partner at a very high level, all 6 of them. Because all 6 of them are important. It's not that just because you have 1 or 2 that you value more than the rest, that the rest aren't important. They're all important. And as the quality of your relationship improves, the level at which all of the 6 human needs are being met improves, or vice versa, however you want to word that. So the reason why that's important in my belief system is that I think that we have, generally speaking, we have more of an ability to meet our partner's needs when our own needs are met. And so this is where relationships tend to break down, when one or both partners really, it's never just one, it's almost always both partners, but one partner, perceives that the other partner isn't meeting their needs, or has fallen off just a little bit, and then they pull back, and then they don't meet their partner's needs. So partner A might not even know that they have not met partner B's needs at the same level that they did, in the early part of the relationship. But then partner B starts to pull back a little bit and not meet partner A's needs as much, and then partner A perceives that and pulls back even more, and then partner B pulls back even more, and then partner A pulls back even more, and it gets to be this cycle, and then at the end everybody's mad and the relationship is over. On the other hand, if you can step out of that cycle at some point and understand that your partner is not meeting your needs because their needs aren't being met, there's a possibility that you can turn the relationship around. I'm talking about you by yourself. We always say it takes 2, and I don't believe that it always does. It takes 2 at some point. But the question that people always have is how do I know when it's time to end it, when it's time to move on? And my sort of recommendation around that, this is what I do when I'm in a relationship where needs aren't being met, and I just don't know if I'm in the right relationship or not. Then that's a time when I think it's time to double down, but you can put limitations on it too. So what I do is I say, here's what I'm going to do, because I'm not sure if this is right or not, but if I walk away now, I'm always going to wonder. And that's the worst thing in the world, to have ended a relationship and go around with that in the back of your mind forever, not knowing if you did the right thing or not. And so what I do is I put a little bit of a time limit on it, a rough timeline, like 90 days or whatever, because you can put up with anything for 3 months. If you've been in a relationship with someone for a year, you can put up with them for another 3 months, right? If you're on the fence, if you're not too sure how it's working out. So 3 months, and then I just pour my heart and my soul into the relationship. I double down, I give everything I've got. 3 months. And if it doesn't change at the end of 3 months, then I know. And I can walk away without guilt and without, I can leave it behind. But more often, what happens if we really, really give it everything we've got for 3 months, it transforms the relationship. It transforms your partner, because you have found that the little secrets to meeting their needs, and they in turn turn around and they don't pull back anymore, and they start to meet your needs, and the relationship just gets better. So while you can have that downward spiral, you can also have an upward spiral. So certainty, uncertainty, significance, love, growth, and contribution, and so when I'm talking about pouring my heart and my soul into it, I'm talking about every day. I'm talking about prioritizing the relationship. I'm talking about putting it at the top. I'm talking about doing things for my partner because it meets a need for my partner, not because it meets a need for me. And so that sort of goes to the love languages. If you guys know about the love languages, it's important to know, and it's important to figure out your partner, especially if theirs isn't the same as yours. You don't have to have a partner whose love languages match in order, the 5 love languages, all in order exactly the way yours do. But what you do need to do is to use those love languages to the best of your ability. And so if they really have, if you're a person who values words and they're a person who values gifts, then writing them letters and long text messages and things like that is going to be less meaningful to them. It's not that you can't do that. It's not that you shouldn't do that. You should do that, but you should get them something. It doesn't have to be something big. For someone who values gifts, what's important to them is that you spent a little time and a little thought picking something out for them. So, but also, it's not just the love languages, it's the 6 human needs too. So you have to find ways to meet all 6 of the 6 human needs for your partner. And how you do that is very much dependent on your partner, on what they value the most. It's important to be able to observe their behavior and sort of pick on their behavioral habits, not pick on them, but pick them out and see how they're working in their life and what needs they're meeting by their behavioral habits. Some people have a very high need for certainty, just for example. And so they'll be concerned about where you're going, what you're doing during the day. They'll want to message you all the time because if they don't know where you are and what you're doing, they start to lose their certainty. So that's one way that it comes out, and it can be kind of annoying, but at the same time, you have to understand that they cared about you, and they're trying to meet one of their needs. And so if you're going to pour your heart and your soul into your relationship, you're going to look at that behavior and you're going to say, okay, I can see that you have this need for certainty to be met, and I'm going to do everything that I can to meet it. Not only am I going to tell you where I am all the time, every time, but I'm also, even when we're together, I'm going to give you all my presence, and I'm going to let you know that you're the one for me. I'm going to give you absolute certainty in this relationship. I'm going to look into your eyes, and I'm going to communicate it to your soul, not just to your mind. That's certainty. Some people value uncertainty more, and so they need to have, they're always looking for the next interesting thing, or they want to go to fairs and rock concerts and They want to have new experiences. They want to go bungee jumping, or they want to go skydiving, or whatever it is. And so, and that's a need that you have to be willing to to help them meet. And then there are other people who have a need for significance that's very high. But through your actions in the relationship, you can meet them all 6 of them, and you have to understand that your partner can change over time. So if you're always focused on trying to meet that, what you think is their one most important need, like that can change in a heartbeat. It can change from day to day. And so last week we talked a little bit about what happens when one of those needs becomes more important to them than love, to your partner or to you. And so if certainty becomes more important than love, then this is where some of the problems in the relationship start to happen, because it gets a little tiring when you're telling your partner all day long where you are, what you're doing, and you're doing the hard work in the relationship, when you're looking deep into their eyes and telling them that they're the only one all the time. And no matter how much you try to give them certainty, they never have enough certainty. And it wears on you. And if they value certainty more than love, then how are you going to get them to the point where they're going to be able to love you back? When you're giving them everything that you can, and it's not enough certainty for them, how are they going to get to that place where they can love you back? But what if they value uncertainty more than love? This is a less common situation, I guess. It's more common. The need for certainty is very common, and the need for significance is very common. The need for uncertainty is less common, but I want to talk about it because I was in a relationship where that was the case. And so I have some personal experience with that. So the need for uncertainty or variety in the relationship can come out in a lot of different ways. This is what makes humans different from each other, is not necessarily which needs they value more, but how they meet those needs. And so everyone has their own life experience, their own personal experiences from the past that has given them sort of a roadmap of how do I meet my need for certainty? How do I meet my need for uncertainty? And so the need for uncertainty can come out in a lot of different ways in the relationship. It is, I think the stereotype would be that these are the people that cheat, but I don't think that that's necessarily the case. That's not, you can have a very high need for certainty, even higher than love, and still not cheat. That's only one way that it comes out. But what might happen is they might want to do a lot of the things that I mentioned before, like bungee jumping, skydiving, going to rock concerts, and carnivals and fairs all the time, and they might value doing those things more than doing something with their partner. And so that can cause resentment in the relationship too. If they're always out looking for the next thing, and if your need for variety isn't the same, at the same level as theirs, or you have a different roadmap, then there's going to be a conflict, but only the conflict really comes out when the need for uncertainty is more than the need for love. And with significance, it's very, very much the same. It's very much the same. Significance is a very important need to be met in a relationship. So is variety, so is certainty. They're all important needs to be met. But the problems happen when someone values that need more than love. And with significance, significance is the yin yang to love. And so this is where things get tricky. Significance, so being significant in the relationship is important. It's important for your partner to let you know that you're the only one, that you're important to them, that you matter to them. That's very important. But if doing those things doesn't quite meet that need for you, then you might want to hear that more often. You might want to hear it all the time. And if you get to where that need is driving most of your behavior, it becomes really difficult for you to be a lovable person. Honestly, if you have to be the most important person in the room all the time, no matter who's there, if it's just you and your partner, or if it's you and all your friends or whatever, if you're the loudest person, if you're the one who always has to come out with the joke, or the one that always has to come out with the story, or when we start talking about if somebody comes into the conversation and says, yeah, I had like a fender bender today, and you have to be the guy that's like, oh, that's nothing, you should have seen this time my car just got completely demolished. And then another guy goes, yeah, well, something weird happened to me, I broke my finger. And you're like, oh man, that's nothing, you should have seen this time I broke my whole leg. That's your need for significance coming out. And it can come out, with you're gonna lose friends that way, and it's gonna be a difficult situation for your partner too. But if it is an important need, as long as it does not exceed the need for love. It's when it exceeds the need for love that things get out of control. Because if it doesn't exceed the need for love, if you're leading with love in that exact same dinner party conversation, the first thing that's going to come out of your mouth when somebody says, I broke my finger today, is, oh my gosh, wow, that must have been really something for you. You're going to do the opposite. You're going to give them significance first. And the same with the fender bender, right? Wow, you had a fender bender today, that's terrible. And so you're giving significance instead of taking it. And that's why love and significance is the yin yang. So it's tricky, right? It's important for you to tell your partner, and for your partner to tell you how important you are to them. And at the same time, I believe it's important to value love more. So that's significance. Growth and contribution are the needs of the spirit. So this is where the spiritual needs are important, of course. Just like all the human needs are important. This isn't a hierarchy like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This isn't like I get this need met and then I get this need met and then I can move on to get this need met. It's not like that with the 6 human needs. They are all important. Although we list contribution as number 6 and growth as number 5, growth and contribution are just as important as certainty and uncertainty, which are 1 and 2. And so with growth is the need to be learning, the need to be changing. It can come into the physical health area of your life, where you want to start a workout program, you want to get stronger, you want to get healthier, you want to run a marathon, you want to do something that you haven't done before. That's growth. You want to take a college course, you want to learn a new skill, you want to take on a home renovation project that you've never done before, you want to build a garage in the backyard or something like that. That's growth. You want to pick up a new instrument. A couple of years ago I picked up the guitar and I haven't hardly put it down since. I love playing that thing. I'm not very good at it, but it's a good time. I really enjoy it. It helps to satisfy my need for growth, and growth is very important in the relationship. Growth is, your relationship has to be able to grow. You have to be able to grow together. You have to be able to do things together and learn about each other. That's growth. And it's something that you can do together and do separately. It gets a little tricky when one of you values growth more than love. That's not to say that growth isn't an important need. Of course it's an important need. Growth is one of my top needs. It's right up there. Growth and love are very, very high for me. And so sometimes even I have trouble being able to understand when I'm valuing growth more than love. And how it comes out for me is because I believe that growth is contribution to the self. And so a lot of the things that I do when I take, courses, or when I try to learn new things or try to do things that I've never done before, it comes off for my partner as being selfish because I'm taking time for myself. And so I don't always necessarily, when I'm in a relationship, this is one of my weaknesses, I'm just sharing here, so I don't always necessarily spend enough time and energy in growing with my partner, and sometimes I have difficulty being able to find things with my partner that we can do to grow together. And so that's if there's something that I need to work on, that's probably it. But I value growth, my own personal growth, so much that sometimes it gets in the way of the relationship, and then that can cause problems, obviously. And so and that can happen to anyone. If my partner, how I would like my partner to help me meet the need for growth would be to come to me and say, you know what, we've never hiked a certain trail before. We should go do that. That would be a great thing, a great way to, put something under my belt that I've never done before, but to be able to do it with my partner. You can take all kinds of classes together and things like that, and there's a lot of ways to do it, but it's just important to be aware of what your own needs are and what your partner's needs are, and how are they meeting them, and are you valuing any of those needs more than love? What about contribution? Some people are just givers. They just have to give. Giving is so important. It's the most fulfilling thing that there is in life, I think. I think that everything else that we do in life is, whether we know it or not, has the purpose of giving us the ability to give more. And Tony Robbins likes to say that we only grow so that we can give. We only grow so that we can give. So, like in my case, when I have such a high need for growth, at some point, if I'm taking a course or if I'm learning a new whatever, at some point I always feel like I have to share it with someone, whatever I've learned. Even when I'm learning things on the guitar, at some point I share it with my kids usually, but anybody that will listen, really, if we get started talking about guitar, I'll want to share what the latest thing is that I've learned. And it's the same with everything, with every, when I take courses, when I learn personal development things, when I learn about the 6 human needs, I want to share them with you. That's helping to meet my need for contribution. But some people are just givers and they have to give all the time, and they have to go down and volunteer at the whatever place, and they're just busy, giving. They're really having a hard time getting their other needs met for themselves because they're giving so much. And if they value contribution more than love, they're probably going to have some difficulties in their relationships because they're going to be so busy volunteering at the shelter, volunteering at the whatever, helping the fire department, putting on a bake sale for the school or the hockey team or whatever, doing all that stuff and just throwing themselves into these volunteer activities and not leaving room in their schedule for their relationship. And so that can cause problems in their relationship that way. And there's a lot of ways that the need for contribution can be met. We can, and especially within the relationship, we can contribute to each other. So the next part, now that we know that how the 6 human needs can undermine the relationship, I guess the next part is, how do we meet the 6 human needs within the relationship so that those needs are met, so that we can have a high quality relationship and have less tension within the relationship, and once everybody's needs are met, then everything's really good, right? So I talked a little bit about certainty, how you can give your partner certainty, and I talked so with certainty, it can be letting them know where you are, what you're doing all the time. It can be letting them know that they're the only one. So there was a post on a few weeks ago about, do you let your partner see your phone? And my answer is yes you do. If you have something to hide, you probably shouldn't be telling your partner that you're trying to make some kind of a long-term relationship out of this. If you have something to hide in your phone, if you have old girlfriends or new girlfriends or whatever it is, girls do it too. But if that's the case, you have to be honest. Honesty is something that I value a great deal. But give your partner that certainty and let them know. That alone is going to improve the quality of your relationship. And it can be just as it's in not just in doing those things, but it's in how you relate, how you communicate to your partner too. And so, like I talked about, how you can look into her eyes and just let her know that she's the only one. and she can see it in your eyes, she can see it in your face. And uncertainty can be uncertainty can come a lot of ways within the relationship. It can happen in the bedroom. It can happen, God, I could do a whole bit on what happens in the bedroom just with the 6 human needs. Oh boy, that would be a good one. Hey, we should totally do that. I might do that. But it can also come in so many other ways. Like, you know, when we have date night, we don't have to go and eat at the same restaurant all the time, right? And we can go and do these things together, like skydiving and bungee jumping. Why not? Why wouldn't we? And you know, hiking new trails and just doing different things. How does your partner want their need for uncertainty to be met? That's probably the most important question, especially if you're in that 90-day period. If you're in that 90-day period, these are the questions you want to ask. How does my partner want these needs to be met? How does my partner want their need for certainty to be met? What's the most important thing? What are the top 3 things? What are the top 10 things that I can do to meet each of their needs? And significance is, like I said, significance is so important. But I can pull all these off in probably about a minute of just having my partner with me and just pulling her close to me, just one embrace, just looking into her eyes and giving her that ultimate certainty and giving her that ultimate variety all at the same time. Just with the intensity, just with the focus, giving her significance, right? And I haven't even said anything yet. And giving her love, and at the same time we're growing together, and at the same time I'm contributing to her and she's contributing to me, and all that can happen with one embrace. You can meet all 6 of your human needs just by being in that moment, having that moment together. And so that's, boy, I think I don't think that there's too much else that I can say about the 6 human needs or the importance of love in the relationship. I know that there has been some comments, but I'm kind of doing this on my phone, so I can't really read them very good. I'm going to read them after. I'm going to try and answer any questions that there's been along the way. And I am looking forward to talking to you guys again next week. I hope that you can unpack some of the 6 human needs on your own, in your own life, and think about some of the things that you're doing in your current relationship or the relationship that you're about to have. And with all that being said, I'll see you next week. Have a great Thursday.